A very good evening to you, tuned in to Smart 24 TV. This is Business Today, and my name is Ronah Nahabwe. In our first story tonight, 2023 will be a benchmark for Uganda's oil and gas success story. The anticipated oil market has got all efforts so far pushing for the refinery and the East African crude oil pipeline projects concurrently as to secure the country's first call on crude. This is thanks to a $3.5 billion investment this year. Refined petroleum has always been among Uganda's top import products, relying mostly on the big oil producers such as Kuwait, UAE, Oman, among others that amounted to $651 million in 2020. However, the emerging oil nation is pushing for liberation, with the initial oil production timeline set for 2025 and refinery in 2027. As commercialization of the industry gains force, Ugandans have enough reason to anxiously wait.
The projections for 2023 are actually more than the projections for 2022. The projection for 2023 is $3.5 billion, and now, as you will appreciate, it has to add on these other investments that were planned for 2022, but actually either came on late or did not come on time. Employment. As the Honourable Minister indicated, there were about 6,600 people employed in the oil and gas sector in total, and out of these, over 90% were Ugandans. Now, and she also indicated that this is about half the number, slightly less than half the number that we expect overall. But just bear in mind that these numbers are the direct employment.
The Uganda National Oil Company further notes that the efforts have been made towards completing the first well pad to be drilled in time for the expected spudding of the first Tilenga development well at the end of Q1, as well as the construction of the central processing facility by next year.
Proceeding well, I will start with the infrastructure, the enabling infrastructure. That is ongoing well. The contractors are in field. They are approximately 20 to 25% complete. The contractors I'm referencing are Motangel and Pearl Engineering, who are working on CFT2 work package, which is a few roads, road A1, A2, A3, and A4.
As action on the key project increases, information from the Ministry of Energy points to cascading opportunities at different levels, providing openings for both international and domestic enterprises.
For Ugandan companies to take these contracts, because they are still building capacity, and we are in this project for the first time. But by the time we finish, we exhaust the first production, I am sure we will be having Ugandan companies which will have experience to even take on bigger contracts at the neighborhood or even within the country in the next production areas that we will be developing its oil and gas resources for the economic benefit of all Ugandans. And our target for first oil still remains 2025. We cannot shorten it, but we will make sure that we maintain the roadmap.
Furthermore, through establishing strategic partnerships with national and international agencies, stakeholders note that they will continue to benchmark best practices on critical areas such as international trade, contingency plans for disasters such as oil spills, and emergency response operations in biodiversity-rich areas, ICT, and data management. Ronah Nahabwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today. Now, away from that, the president for the Federation of Uganda Football Association, Engineer Moses Magogo, has expressed his dissatisfaction with the way the government has neglected the sports sector, yet it collects taxes from it. This happened during the presentation of the budget framework paper of the education sector.
While presenting the budget framework document for the education sector for the fiscal year 2023-2024, the Vice Chairperson of the Education Committee, Honorable Cuthbert Abigaba, informed the committee that the budget for the education sector has been cut to 80%, which will have a direct impact on the sector's performance. According to Abigaba, the sports sector funding has been reduced by 64%.
these are items which are affected by the 80% cut. So if the budget committee can support our committee that the Ministry of Finance reinstates this 170, actually most of your questions will be answered, because it even includes the additional money that we need to grant aid more schools. All those things are here. The National Council of Sports, I have heard the Honorable Engineer Magogo talk about the funding for sports and infrastructure. All that is captured here.
The president of FUFA and the representative of Bujope East in Parliament, Engineer Moses Magogo, expressed concern over the underfunding of the sports industry and demanded an explanation from the Ministry of Finance.
The Ministry of Finance is proposing in the budget framework paper that money should be reduced by 64%, meaning that the total money going to federation should be cut to zero, because the proposal of the money that they want for the next financial is less than what it was before the increment. Therefore, it means that the federation should be going to zero completely. And for me, that's where the concern for Ugandans must be, that we cannot have sports in this country when the federations are not financed.
Honorable Magogo claims that despite receiving a funding allocation of 47 billion shillings for this fiscal year, the sports sector only received less than 8 billion shillings, which is barely enough to complete half of their work.
We employ directly, as a federation, over 180 people today as we speak. And we pay taxes off their payment as pay as you earn. Indirectly, the whole sector of football could be employing up to 500,000 people as players and people who are doing business around the sport. Now, when you just come and cut this budget, you are affecting not only the individual bread earners, but also the people around them, extending it probably to over 1 or 2 million people who are going to be affected.
Honorable Namugagore, the Member of Parliament of Maugula County, has also emphasized the problem with lack of a national stadium in the country, which results in the majority of sports events presently being held in the quite small Kitende football stadium.
Why we've not had a national stadium? We host national sports and games in Kitende. Every one of us observes that that is a very small stadium to host international games. So, Chair, I kindly request that we give money, we give priority to having a national stadium. And, Chair, I would like the Chair Education to update us on the status of renovation of Nachivuo Stadium.
The Committee of Education has committed itself on working on all the issues raised by legislators before they appear again for the budget allocation process. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
In other news, the government has passed the East African Community Competition Act 2016 into a bill in an effort to encourage the development of the commerce sector in a controlled manner within her East African states. Kenya, the region's largest economy, approved it in 2010, while Uganda is looking forward to do the same. Ronah has more of this report.
It is important for Uganda to establish the competition law since it is unified by aspect of trade with other countries and shall continue to be liable to world competition with the trading system the country is enrolled in. According to Catherine Lamwa, the Deputy Chair to Committee Trade, Tourism and Industry, interactions with different stakeholders about the bill is important and will improve Uganda's space in markets.
And we're trying to consult as much as possible, as widely as possible, so that we are able to come up with an act that will be able to provide the required need for this country and ensure fair competition in the markets in the country. We have not had a law that addresses this issue, and that is why, as a Committee for Trade, we are very passionate about this, and we realize that there is a lot of conflicts in the market, there's a lot of unfair competitions in the markets in the country, and so this law should come to heal.
Even with regulation and mobilization comes defiance. Sam Watasa, the Executive Director, Uganda Consumer Protection Association, requests that penalties should be applied in accordance to change.
Penalties of non-compliance with competition regulation, best practices that we do not have specific penalties embedded into the main law However, the bill needs to provide for regulations to determine penalties so that the market is dynamic. The penalties for now may not be the penalties for tomorrow or the next year. So the institution that implements the competition law ought to have the leeway to adjust penalties and penalty levels as the market determines.
Catherine Lamwa continues to emphasize on how the measure will help Uganda's economy by improving market strategies and producing high-quality products while preserving consumer rights.
This bill is going to promote competition in the market, and where there is competition, definitely people are going to struggle hard to ensure that there is quality. And of course, alongside this bill, as a committee also, very soon we shall start processing the Consumer Protection Bill. So you realize that the competition bill will not work in isolation, it will work alongside the Consumer Protection Bill. So all these are going to help complement one another in ensuring that we have goods in the market that meets the required standard. That means our consumers will be protected, but also ensure that there's fair competition in the market.
Uganda's innovation aptitude is critical for long-term commerce since it embraces the act of sustainability and promotes investment, which in the long run improves the economy. Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Thank you, Bronya Katsime, for that report. Now, energy systems have experienced a series of shocks, forcing many governments to step in to protect the citizens and companies from skyrocketing prices while scrambling to shore up the national energy security. Embracing renewable resources is a strategy that will help disseminate carbon emissions, hence abundance in provision of natural resources.
Ugandans are urged to embrace the foundation of clean energy as energy consumption rises, since it is essential to achieve clean energies. This program intends to accelerate the transition to clean energy systems and major industrial sectors using fact-based frameworks, discussions, and tools to measure progress of national energy systems and industrial transformation towards net zero emissions.
Achieve sustainability through renewable sources by focusing on Sustainable Development Goal 7, and that is universal access to affordable, clean, modern energy. Many people around the world don't have access to clean, affordable, modern energy such as electricity. And in recent years there have been amazing technological advances in the production of things like solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, which are now affordable and accessible even to communities living in remote places. And if we can bring those technologies to these communities, then that's really going to be able to help people's welfare and livelihoods in those places.
With the new trends and technologies, the consumption and delivery of energy resources has increased, hence high-level energy index globally. In order to manage climate change, Uganda is advised to collaborate with supportive organizations and create a clean energy environment and a more equitable world.
Energy has that opportunity because renewable energy can be modular. So it's very easy to design these systems, and it's also very practical to have local artisans within the communities trained.
Uganda's utilization of renewable resources is still increasing gradually, which will be beneficial to our environment in the future. In order to protect the environment and build a coalition that offers sustainable resources, the government is looking forward to a clean energy and technology economy, mobilize efforts and investments, which will make a sustainable contribution to Uganda's clean energy transformation. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Business Today will now take a short break, but we will return with more. Please don't go away.